nice, we promise.
Huh?
We'll be nice.
Yeah.
You got your new perch.
What's that?
You got your new perch.
Yeah, wow. This is impressive. All right, guys. Yeah, obviously a big week for us in general here. Two terrific teams that are playing really well in Illinois, Michigan State. Obviously, Illinois playing really well. I think as most people expected. You know, they had as we all remember, a really good run late in the Big Ten season last year, and just a really tough team, well coached, talented. They had, I think, most everybody back, in the addition of obviously Kofi. So they're I think what wins in this league, some veteran guys that have played a lot of games, and well coached group, really tough minded team. It speaks to their effectiveness on the road, how tough minded they are. So looking forward to the challenge of this one on Thursday night. Obviously a special night with really special night with our seniors, Andre Wesson. We'll talk more about him after the game. Danny Hummer, who's another senior, a walk-on for us that has been tremendous. Both guys I love and care about so much, and so happy for them. And then obviously we're also honoring the 1960 national champion team. So a full night, and obviously our number one focus and concern is on a really good Illinois team and playing the best we can.
Have you made a value judgment about the wisdom of bringing Kyle back in a week where you can't win a championship, and then wondering about the wisdom of a conference tournament versus how long he needs to be 100% and no worry about a recurrence?
Yeah, absolutely. All that is factored into it. Kyle is still day to day. I would say his improvement has been incremental. And he is anxious to get back, and we're anxious to get him back. But, it was a significant sprain. And I think all that know our team, and in particular, in a game like we have, the two this week, he adds a lot of value with what he brings. But you're also mindful of what's in the best interest of him and what's in the best interest of our team long term as well.
So you've looked at the numbers. They're the top two rebounding teams in the Big Ten. It's a
Yeah.
bad week not to have him.
Yeah, no, I think he's obviously really excited about the production we've gotten from EJ and from the guys. We've obviously played the shortest rotation I've ever played in my coaching career, but. I think the reality is he adds a lot when it comes to those certainly teams like this that challenge you on the glass as much as these two do.
How is Zoe coming along?
Yeah, Zoe will be out. I can't really speak more to that, but he'll be out for tomorrow.
But he's still with the team, just sick?
Yeah, he's like I said, I can't get into the specifics on that.
Is there a timetable for when he could be back or when we would see him again?
Yeah, not that I know of right now. Yeah, not that I know of.
How does that? I mean, you talked about EJ, but just as you continue to look for depth and options there, what have you seen from Ibrahima and I guess maybe even Harrison as far as trying to? We've
looked at both guys. Both guys, I went in the Michigan game with the intent that both guys very likely could play. And we'll look at that as well tomorrow, kind of going into that game with very, very, very much a possibility of both of those guys playing. Danny will obviously play because it's senior night. I think they're working. They've got great attitudes, great approach. Really, really proud of what those guys are bringing. So would it surprise me to play one or both of them? Not necessarily.
You mentioned the festivities that are going on senior night before the game. That can sometimes have an effect on a team, especially the start. How do you have the guys, especially Andre, prepared to get past that and focus on, like you said, it's about Illinois?
Yeah, we'll do. I think, in this league, it's right. We've talked about it all year. You know, we're playing two of the better teams in the country. We're playing Illinois. Illinois is a top 25 team. So in this league, they just keep coming, and there's never a break. There won't be a break in the Big Ten tournament. Whoever we play there will be an outstanding team. Whoever we play in the NCAA tournament will be a really good team. So that's the reality moving forward. I think you accept that and embrace that. We'll talk briefly about senior night. Most of the stuff we do will be after the game. As we've done our first couple years here, you know, we want to honor the seniors after the game, win or lose, and all the people that come to the game are welcome to listen to the senior speeches, you know, if they'd like. That's been really I think, well received the last couple years, and people have enjoyed hearing from those guys.
How many guys have you coached against, like Kofi? He seems kind of a rare specimen.
Coached against?
Coached against, yeah.
Whew. I'd have to reflect back on that, and I don't know that, you know, I never coached against Shaq. I'd have to reflect back on I'm not sure a guy that is that specimen. I have coached against some big bodies, but 7'1", 290 is probably pretty rarefied air.
And lucky you guys, you get to play two teams that are still fighting for a share of the league title this week. Obviously, you guys aren't, but I'd imagine you're expecting a pretty high sense of urgency from your opponents. Just what do you tell your guys about sort of matching that, even if you're not like in the same position as them league-wise, playing for a title?
Yeah, I think listen, it's the end of the year. You want to be playing as well as you can. You want to be playing as well as you can in February and March. And the reality is there's a week full of a lot of juggling that can go on right now in a lot of different ways. And as you saw last night and the last couple of days. So our deal is continue to try to build upon the momentum, and knowing that it's a great challenge with two teams, but obviously they played very well. We've played very well. You know, it's kind of games you want to be in.
When DJ departed, it seemed that CJ needed to take a step. It sure appears that he has. I just wonder if you have an evaluation of what you've seen out of him since DJ departed.
I think a step up in leadership and ownership among our team and our group. He's a tremendous kid. I've said that time and again. I think he's going to be a really good coach. He's got innate leadership ability. He cares about the team. He cares about winning, and I think he's settled into his role. I think maybe I underestimated even some of the transition that was going to happen with him as a new point guard in our system, as well as our sophomore and at the time freshman guards with DJ. I think maybe I underestimated some of that transition period that was going to take place, just in terms of understanding expectations and roles. But he's really embraced kind of what we feel like is really important to that position, and it helps that he's a really high character kid.
When Caleb has games like he had against Garza, like he had the second time against Teskey, what do you identify is the issue?
Well, listen, I think there are parts of his game that you can look at and whatever, complain about or take issue with. I look at it on the whole as a coach, and certainly his 2-point finishing is something that he would look at and say, "Yep, I can do better." What gets lost by probably people who don't sit down and break down film and look at it is Caleb was outstanding defensively. He was really good defensively. And we just forget about that. We see a big guy who we think should finish everything around the basket. We don't always look at the fact that he moves really well right now. He did a great job defending ball screens. He protected the rim in the way that he can protect the rim, which is his size and his length. He was great on rotations. And he just overall really had an impact. And then obviously his efficiency from the three-point line, obviously banked one in, but he still would have been, 3 of 5. His efficiency from the three-point line was outstanding. So are there things that he can do better, that I can do better as a coach? Absolutely. But when you look at his game on a complete level, he played well. We've got to work with him on finishing more.
I want to be accurate on Alonzo. We've been told he's ill. Is he ill, or is it?
Yeah, I'm not really even allowed to get in specifics on that. So
Is he still a part of the team?
he's still part of the team, yes.
Still part of the program?
Yeah.
With Dre, obviously when you took over the program, he was in kind of a tough spot, and you didn't know if he'd even be able to play. Legacy still to be written a little bit, but what have you made of the journey, and whether it's getting his teeth knocked out or whether it's, he's been through a lot since you got here. What do you make of what his time here is gonna mean?
I think he's an example of tremendous, and you don't always see this, right? But tremendous development and maturation as a player. Just look at his numbers from year to year. And if they don't typify a guy who really is committed to working on his game and developing and growing his game. Look at his offensive efficiency from his freshman year to his senior year. It's astounding. He's one of the more efficient wing forwards in college basketball right now. And his defense at times has not been always what I've wanted it to be this year because I have such high expectations for him. It's come along here of late. It's been outstanding.
When you started to get to know him, I know you recruited him in high school, but did you see the contributions he's been able to give you? And when you talk about that sort of growth, did you see that as being a realistic possibility? Did you think he could get to what he's given you this season?
It's a good question, and I think that was my hope when we recruited him at Butler. That was my hope, that he could grow into a player who's just a really good player on a good team and contributes in a lot of ways. But it's a credit to his work ethic. It's a credit to his toughness, in his IQ, that he's just taken his. Now, did I anticipate that he would shoot almost 45% from three in relatively high volume as a senior? I don't know. That's a pretty high mark. But it's his progression has been outstanding.
Chris, just curious how much interaction you've had with this group from 1960. Those gentlemen, what are they, 80 plus, I guess?
Yeah.
Have you tried to embrace them just as national champs?
Yeah, absolutely. And I've enjoyed all the stories when I've interacted with them or people that have been kind of a part of that team or around that team. I wouldn't say my interaction has been, it's been what you'd expect. They obviously are the lone national champion men's basketball team here. So as much as I can, you're trying to glean what that experience was all about.
Have you had discussions with Knight over time ever about that and him just being a part of that?
No, not here in the last five years. I've had some interactions with Coach Knight, but I have had some interactions with Coach Knight, but that was earlier in my coaching career. That was when I was an assistant, and it was before kind of Ohio State was even in the picture for me, but not here of late.
Chris, just over to ask one more on Andre. Around here, when he was being recruited, we all watched how he played at Westerville South on that state title run, and everyone was just wondering, is Ohio State ever going to offer him? Are they ever going to offer him? Wonder what it was like on your end, being a Butler and probably hoping that Ohio State didn't offer him.
I was wondering the same thing. Yeah, at Butler, I was wondering the same thing if they were ever going to offer him, and obviously his brother had already committed here, so we kind of realized that was. And once we pushed when we were at Butler and couldn't get enough of a response back, we kind of felt like he was potentially waiting on something here.
Was that interesting when you took the job? Hey, here I am.
You have those situations. We talked about, recruited Keyshawn a couple times. Finally, he came around last year, Keyshawn Woods. But, yeah, we had a laugh about it. I showed him, again, several of my texts that he didn't respond to, when I got the job. But, yeah.
I'm wondering if, with it being senior night, and sometimes you have teams that have more than one Danny Hummer type player, where you're going to start three guys that half the fans have never seen before. What's your relationship like as a coach with guys that started and maybe go on to have bigger basketball careers versus bench players, role players that might go on to do different things?
Well, it varies from player to player. Your relationship always varies. But I think as a coach, you learn pretty early on that you better. It's really your responsibility as a coach for them to sense that you value them and their contributions, regardless of how it may be perceived. And we've tried to do that with all of our walk-ons as much as possible, and some of the guys I'm the closest to nowadays are former walk-ons.
Last one on that. If maybe I envision this as being one of the hardest things about being a coach, but maybe you get over it really quickly because you have to. When you have these guys that they don't get to play a lot of times they're the ones that love the team the most.
Yeah.
Do you ever feel bad as a coach for not being able to play certain players?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You mean scholarship players or walk-ons or both?
Guys that have worked hard but just can't play you.
All the time. Yeah, all the time. You wrestle with it. You'd like for everybody to play but you realize that each guy's path is different, and that it's really their job to commit themselves to working and being committed to that. And listen, if there is a situation where it's a walk-on and we don't believe he'll ever play minutes that are what would be considered kind of minutes that in a tight game, we'll tell them that. We'll tell them that on the front end so that they don't come in with any undue expectations. But, yeah, absolutely. We tell our guys all the time because, we know it. Their families, their moms and dads are saying, this and that. And their AAU coaches. We'd love to be able to play everybody 40 minutes. It can't work. We've got to figure out what's best for our team.
Over at Illinois, Brad's gotten a lot of credit this year for sort of changing some of his approaches and kind of reinventing himself a little bit as a coach. I just wonder how Illinois, since we haven't seen them all year, as you prepare for them, how different do they look compared to their first 2 years under there?
Much different offensively, much different defensively, pretty similar offensively. They had so many returning pieces, minus obviously Kofi. There were so many returning pieces, so you thought they were obviously still going to play through IO, but they are different, very different defensively. They were obviously very unique defensively in the past couple years, and Brad had success in previous places playing that way. But they did change defensively. Offensively, not a significant change.
Defensively, the way that they play now, I guess what is the challenge preparing for how they play defense now compared to the Illinois we've seen for the last 2 years?
Well, they're good. They've got good defensive players, good length, good size, good rim protection. They're disciplined in what they do. They don't foul you, and I think that's probably the biggest adjustment is they just do a good job with their group, and you can see how the change has paid dividends.
Chris, earlier in the season when Dwayne was hot, you'd always caution that his defense needed to improve for him to play more, and now kind of without everyone missing, he's playing a lot, some three-guard lineups. Just how have you seen his defense come along and leaving him out there on the floor more? How has he done in that regard?
I think it's getting there. It's getting there. We got to keep, as a group, taking ownership and getting better in that, and he's obviously a big part of it given how regular his minutes are right now. But I think we have definitely seen some improvement. But I'm anxious in this challenging week to see if it continues and as we move forward. But we have seen some improvement in his details and his overall commitment to it.
I want to ask about teams going on the road. I don't think Rutgers has won a game away from Rutgers, but I just counted up. I think Illinois won 7 games away, and away games, road games, not neutral site. Just what makes them special? What do you see on tape that when they go into a road environment, they're there to win the game?
A very good road team, really tough-minded group. Again, a lot of the key pieces from last year. So you go through that as a group together, and they had, as we talked about, a good run in the second half, I think, of the Big Ten season last year. So you have that group back, primarily almost all those guys back who've kind of been through it. You know what you're expecting on the road in the Big Ten, and I think they've got a really tough approach. Okay, thanks, guys.
Dre, since we've seen you bleed on the court a number of times and give a lot on the court a number of times, are we going to see you cry tomorrow night?
I hope not. That's the plan not to, so we'll see, but probably not.
You generally keep that kind of stuff kind of bottled up. But what kind of emotions do you think we're gonna see from you tomorrow? What's it going to be like to go through a senior day for you?
It's going to be bittersweet for sure. I mean, obviously, my journey coming to an end here. I mean, I'm excited for the next phase, but obviously there's a lot of great memories here, just with my teammates, past and present, and it's going to be special for sure.
How do you guys, both of you, avoid allowing a senior night to impact your play on the court? Coach Holtmann said a lot of the stuff will be done after the game, but you're still thinking about it, I imagine. This is the last time you get to step out there and do that. How do you keep that separate from, hey, we need to win a game against Illinois?
I mean, it's a big game for us. I mean, we know we need these 2 wins this week, and it can help us definitely in the Big Ten standings going into the Big Ten tournament. So just putting those emotions to the side, obviously it's going to be a real emotional night, but pushing those emotions to the side to realize that we do need these 2 games, we do need these 2 wins is going to be big.
Dre, Coach was saying that you're sort of shining example of what it looks like when a player is serious about his development and how someone can improve over time. I'm just curious, like, 1, how much pride do you take in that? And 2, like, how much better do you feel like you have become over these 4 years? And, like, what did it take to get to this point?
Yeah, I mean, I've definitely grown a lot over these 4 years. Just I'm always trying to get better, just always trying to learn new things, just get in the gym, just trying to become the best player that I can be. And that's just something that's really been instilled in me from a young age. I've never been one. I'm not the tallest guy, not the fastest, can't jump the highest. So, I mean, I just got to get in the gym and work.
What maybe you hope to become over the course of your college career? How does that match up with where you are right now? Like, do you feel like you accomplished, like, individually in terms of that development, what you hope to accomplish?
Obviously, you always shoot for the stars. So, I mean, obviously I haven't been exactly what I've become, but, I mean, I like what I've become. I mean, I came in every day, worked as hard as I could, and always gave my best effort, and that's all I can ask for myself.
Dre, I know when you, Adam, mentioned you've suffered some injuries, the eye socket, and when I first met you were recovering, going into your sophomore year, you had a serious injury, and just to overcome all of that, and I know there's a lot left to be done, but as a senior looking back, like, to overcome all of that, what does it mean to you?
Yeah, it means a lot. I mean, obviously I've been through a lot these 4 years, and not just injuries. So it's been a challenge, but my guys, my teammates, coaches, they've all just been there for me and just pushed me to keep going every single day. And I couldn't ask for a better 4 years, really.
Danny, what's tomorrow night going to be like for you and your family?
I mean, it's been a long road for me too. We both know how important it is after all the work we've put in, and I think just being able to be there with everybody that's helped us get here, it's going to be special.
Last year, Coach Holtmann started Joey on senior night. Did you take notes on that, and do you maybe remind him of that this year?
We'll see what happens, but there might be something. Yeah.
Dre, I wonder what it's been like for you throughout your career to be able to look up and see your dad watching you when you're obviously playing at his alma mater and everything. But what has it been like for you? Like, we see him on the road, we see him here, but to look up and see him watching you play at his alma mater, what's that been like?
It's a dream come true, really. I mean, this is something that I've wanted from a young age, me and my brother, just to be able to come here and just do what we can do. And for my dad to be at all the games, it's been special. And just to make him proud is one of the biggest accomplishments in my life for sure.
Andre, do you think it's going to be tougher playing your last game at Ohio State or playing your last game with Caleb in college?
I don't know. That's actually a good question. I never really thought about that. But yeah, I mean, definitely my family comes first. So playing with my brother has been real special, and it's something that I'll never forget. So I gotta say that probably trump playing.
Specific memories that you have when you think back to your 3 years playing with Caleb that, in 20 years you'll look back at maybe this game or this moment behind the scenes or this celebration that can enlighten us on?
Not really anything specific, really. I mean, every day has been fun. I mean, I try to make the most out of every day, especially knowing that it's going to come to an end soon. So, I mean, I can't really pinpoint one moment. There's a bunch, really.
Talking about your development and growth as a player, and like we've all seen it. And I know Kobe Bryant was someone who was important to you. I was just wondering if you're carrying any of that mentality with you since his passing.
I mean, I definitely tried to. I mean, he's one of the main reasons why I chose 24, just committing on Mamba Day and everything. And, I mean, he was a big impact on everybody in the basketball world, just from what he's done and just the way he carried himself. So that's definitely something that I try to carry with me, too.
When we talked to Coach Holtmann, he said that when he got here, he showed you a bunch of text messages that you hadn't answered when he was recruiting you at Butler. What was going through your head when he did that?
I was actually scared, really, 'cause I mean, that's your coach now. I was like, man, definitely should have answered. But, I mean, it's been fun. I mean, obviously him recruiting me and me not picking his school, but him ended up becoming my coach. I mean, it's been crazy, really, and but it's been fun. I've really enjoyed playing for him.
He said that when they were recruiting you, felt like they were putting in a lot of effort, but they felt like you were kind of holding back, that you were holding out, hoping that Ohio State was going to offer. Now that this experience is getting toward the end, what did it mean to you when that offer did finally come? What was that experience like?
It was real cool. I mean, I didn't really know if it was going to happen. Didn't really know what was going to happen. I was actually about to commit a few months prior to that, but just talking to my brother and my family, just waiting. I'm glad I did, for sure.
Where were you going to commit before that?
I can't tell you all that.
But it wasn't Butler?
No, it wasn't Butler.
Okay.
Danny, how you liking the Andre to Danny question ratio?
I don't worry about that stuff. And he's my roommate, so we talk enough.
What could you take us through what the journey is like? Just being in your role, being the guy that probably has to just give it 150% in practice every single day. What's the journey been like for you?
I appreciate everything. My role is just coming every day with the same mentality, and I think as long as I do that and can you continue to help prepare everybody, then everything will work out in the end.
Have they told you you're going to start tomorrow?
I mean, he might have said something, but I don't know what's going to happen. Yeah.
What is going to happen if you are starting? Are you getting a shot up for sure?
I'm just going to go out there and play, and we'll see what happens.
Nah, he is.
Danny, when you do get in, like, sometimes you get in and the score's a little lopsided. Like, why don't you look for yours a little more when you're out, when you do get the opportunity to be out there?
It's just not my personality. My whole thing is, I earn the respect of my teammates, and I know that I can play. And so whenever I go in there, I just try to play the best that I can, no matter what it is, scoring, passing.
Yeah. The end of the Nebraska game, when you threw that ball off the rim, was some of the most flawless execution I've ever seen of anything. Had you, practiced that? Why did that come so easily to you, or did you just get lucky?
I knew I didn't want to get a shot clock violation because it makes us like, look bad or whatever. But that just comes from, playing 21 when you're younger. If you win, you got to hit it off the rim.
How about
Dan,
Go ahead.
everybody wants to start, everybody wants to be a star, et cetera, but years from now, will there be a lot of pride for you knowing you were on this team, you wore that uniform, just to have that experience?
Yeah, like, when I was like 6 years ago, if you'd have told me I'd be here today, I would have told you were crazy. And just be able to be a part of the team that has, potential 3, NCAA tournament appearances, to make that, just having that, aspect is awesome.
And you might have overcome more than many, on that team, and that too has to be part of the story, right?
Yeah, I just, the relationships that I've built built along, this way is really what, I'm going to remember down the line, and the bonds I've formed.
You said it's not your personality to check up a bunch of shots. You did throw a pass between your legs earlier.
Yeah. That was just in the moment.
It's just okay. Okay, so that's not necessarily the plans for tomorrow then.
If it happens, it happens. I just play. Yeah.
Andre, I got 2 questions I want to ask you. I was at Washington, D.C. when you guys lost to Rutgers the first year in the conference tournament, and then the coach leaves, obviously, and Coach Holtmann comes in. Just this program didn't seem to be in a very good spot at that point, even prior to the coaching change. Just your thought about what's transpired here in the last 3 years to kind of put Ohio State back in the front page. I mean, you're a ranked team, obviously, right now, and it wasn't like that the first year. Just your thought about, what you and the guys around you have done to kind of put this thing back where it should be.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a lot of work, a lot of hard work, and just committing to the coaches, committing to this university that we want to put Ohio State back on the map. We want to put them back on the front page, and it's been fun, and I'm glad we've been able to do that for sure.
And kind of parallel, just maybe 6 weeks ago, you guys are like 2-6 or whatever you were in the Big Ten, and to now win 8 of your last 10 games, position yourselves in pretty good shape. What changed in the last 5 weeks for you guys? And coaches said the seniors, yourself, the upperclassmen, the captains, led this turnaround. What in your mind led to what we've seen the last 3 or 4 weeks?
I don't really think anything changed. I just think we stayed committed. I mean, obviously you're going to have ups and downs during the season. I think the biggest thing is how you handle those downs. That's the biggest thing, and I think we've handled it well, and just keeping that confidence and trying to turn things back around. That's the biggest thing for sure.
Okay. All right, thanks, guys. Thanks, guys.